First off, allow me to say thank you so much for your time. It's a privilege to have a leader go ahead and participate and contribute. So allow me to showcase my gratitude for your time as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. Now, we are all in this midst of a pandemic. We are now in this midst of wave 2, as people call it. So these are trying times. What I'm curious about, Mr. Saraogi, is how has your leadership transformed during these times?
So, Venkat, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you. And we as an organization have great regard for you personally for what you're doing for us.
Pleasure.
Okay. So basically, you see, there was that pandemic 1 and 2. So let me begin by a disclaimer that our industry, by God's grace, was impacted the least if I see the others.
Correct.
Having said that, I'm giving you my personal experience. It's had a very deep and telling impact on me emotionally. So there are times when one feels very bad for the people around you, and therefore it creates more sensitivity in you. That's what it's done to me. So as a leader and more as a human being and more as someone God has been kind to, the mantle of responsibility on you doubles.
Absolutely.
So you got to look after your people. You got to be very sensitive. There will be panic around you. There will be people who will get, chaotic in their minds without anything happening. So to deal with it.
True.
And where they seek your leadership, where they seek your guidance, you have to come up and act as a leader.
Absolutely.
You have to forget money and you have to forget business at times. You have to see, our business very peculiar. We ran great risk last year, even this year, where the farmer will not stop bringing in. And that is the mandate of the state government also.
Correct.
And to run through that pandemic, our team did a great job. And we personally thank them.
Very nice.
So basically, it's made me more sensitive as a human being.
Absolutely. And in fact, thank you for sharing. In fact, in your response, I can sense the heart and empathy behind that response as well. Now, it is in these times that innovation happens the most, Mr. Saraogi, right? So where people are saying, let's experiment with newer ideas, let's not waste a crisis in a way. What kinds of innovations did you get to experiment?
So I'll be again very truthful. Innovation was forced. So you suddenly went one fine morning, you given half a day and said, lockdown, work from home.
Correct.
So the team rallied behind it and we were able to export so much of sugar from the port, run our factories, sell our sugar. Last May, I remember in the month of May, the peak of the pandemic last year, we sold our highest ever quantity of sugar in a month almost.
Wow.
So the team rallied behind the objective. Everybody was, sort of learned to work in their given circumstances. Everybody did a great job.
Very nice.
So it was learning on job. So that is a reverse innovation, I would say. That tells you what you're capable of.
True.
And including me, I'm no qualms in admitting that I'm that old world fellow, not so good with technology. But if I needed to, I did it.
Correct. Absolutely. So it's forced you to go ahead and adopt technology, move fast, actually, in a way.
And our entire teams did it. Our entire teams did it. We made payments and got payments for hundreds of crores in this period.
Very nice. Very nice.
Entire team at the corporate office, at the factory, everywhere, beginning from the labor who loaded the sugar bags or the labor who cut the cane.
True.
Right from the person who received the money in the bank. The entire chain. They rallied behind the business.
Very nice. Very nice.
And they all realized, including me, what we could do.
Very good. Which means that, when there is a force upon us, we don't hesitate to change.
And it tells us actually what we are capable of. So it just sort of told all of us, including me, and I shared with everyone, I said, guys, let's see what we are capable of. Yesterday, we feel we are capable of 100 units, or we have 100 horsepower within us. When pushed to the wall, you realize you have 200.
Exactly.
So let's always realize that we have 200 in us. So it's motivational, to say the least. More than innovation, it's been motivational.
Wonderful. In fact,
and it's not been,
while you are talking, I just get reminded of something that I read a few days back, where there was somebody researching on the strongest man on earth. And they Googled it, they found, and they interviewed this person to find out he's the Iron Man, triathlon, everything, right? And they said, what is your secret? He said, 40% is my secret. They asked him, what is this 40%? He said, when your mind says you have done it, right? You are tired. That means you have actually used up only 40% of your capacity.
So true. So true.
Absolutely.
So that's what we realize. But given our normal circumstances, we don't realize. We need to realize that.
True. True. Which means that your aspirations has gone up as well from your leaders and what the business can go ahead and achieve, right?
More than aspiration, self-respect.
Definitely.
I think each person's self-respect for his own being has moved up.
Correct.
And that moving up, you move up as a human being. You move up as a leader.
That is true.
You move up as a team member.
Correct. Now, from your vantage position, Mr. Saraogi, you have the opportunity to observe other leaders as well. You have the pleasure of developing other leaders, right? What have you learned about moving leaders from good to great to world class?
Let me put a disclaimer in place. I don't understand too much of what you're saying in terms of, I don't think I've achieved anything of that sort. Having said that, see, when developing leaders I've seen is a two-way street. So the first thing which you actually can develop in somebody whom you want to make a leader of is hunger.
Beautiful.
So the first job of a leader in creating another leader is to give him hunger. If he starts feeling hungry, only then will he want food, and then he'll crave for food.
Correct.
Food is, his biggest craving, and that's what is, as you say, the breakfast of champions.
Absolutely.
Back, hunger. So if a person is hungry, only then can you take him from good to, better, and then great, or whatever you want to say.
Correct.
If you can impart him or inoculate him or vaccinate him for hunger, I think that our job is half done.
Absolutely.
Then the craving within him will only make you guide him more.
True.
So he starts pulling you rather than you need to push him.
True.
So I feel that the biggest trait and our biggest job is to create hunger.
Very nice.
Want, need. And not for money, for success, for respect, for having his colleagues look at him in a different way.
Beautiful.
And being their team member as well as their leader. And without any arrogance.
Correct.
If you can do that, you can lead very well.
Very nice. Now, it's been a pleasure to have engaged with you, engaged with your leaders as well, Mr. Saraogi. Now, what I'm curious about is in family-run organizations, right? How does empowerment work?
So yeah, I'm kind of beginning to realize that every day. So empowerment, in my mind, works in two ways. First, you've got to see yourself, whoever is the patriarch, as a trustee.
Correct.
Until you are able to see yourself a little bit as a trustee and detached from the results. Every day you cannot be wanting a result.
Okay.
And I'm saying you got to be a bit more detached. So you're not seeing it from a selfish perspective.
Correct.
You're seeing it from a bird's eye view perspective.
True.
Only
True.
then will you empower. Otherwise, you'll hold everything.
Exactly.
For empowerment, you've got to have some detachment. So therein begins the first tranche of empowerment in my mind. That is, first disengage yourself a bit.
Isn't it tough?
Yeah, it is. But the moment your leaders come up and take it, and you realize that actually they're doing it better than you.
Okay.
Given the chance and given the hunger created and given the right ambience created and given the right talent, ordinary people can do extraordinary jobs.
Very nice.
Absolutely. So if you are able to create hunger and ownership with your team,
true,
you realize that they actually do it better than you.
Very nice.
So for the benefit of the business, it is good, no?
Correct.
So it is not empowerment. It's actually the truth, facing the truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, in my mind, I'm just thinking hire for hunger, right? Empower for ownership, right?
Absolutely. I couldn't have phrased it better. These are two absolutely taglines which I've discovered in the last 3 to 4 years.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, I mean, in organizations, normally they want to develop their own crop of leaders, but sometimes it's necessary to bring in outside talent for whatever reasons. Maybe we want to raise the water level or we get some additional capability. How do you decide when to bring in outside talent, Mr. Saraogi?
So it's impossible to lay down a formula to this.
Right.
It's with every need. The question arises whether it's internal promotion and thus motivating the entire balance team that you can get here.
Right. Correct.
Okay. So if a shift engineer has moved to the head of engineering department, which is cross 6 layers or 7 layers within the company, it's a great sense of achievement stroke aspirational for the guy who's just joined as a shift engineer.
True.
So while that is one way of going, there are times when you need outside in perspective.
Absolutely.
So you discover it down the road. And you discover it with every vacancy, or you discover it pre the vacancy.
Right.
And you discover it in respect to your vision and goal. So if you want to run 100 meters, maybe you can wear one shoe.
Right.
You want to run 1,000 meters, you got to wear another shoe.
Exactly.
Different quality shoe or something like that.
True.
So it's first you decide how fast and where you have to run and how much.
Absolutely.
And then you build the shoe accordingly.
Correct. So be deliberate about it. And it's always situational, right? Very nice.
And it's aligned to a vision, So if I have to get here in 100 minutes, I must train for that. So I must have the wherewithal for that.
Correct.
If I'm satisfied with this, with 20 units, I don't need more people. Let's say.
Absolutely.
So it's depending on your aspiration, your vision, your ask.
True. You are number one in your industry, correct? How do you decide how much more to aspire, Mr. Saraogi?
So it's a team effort. The aspiration is never individual. And it's not number driven.
Right.
It's excellence driven.
Very nice. This is the first time I'm hearing somebody say that, right? So that it's not a number.
Yeah. So number will follow. Numbers follow. Excellence is what lasts. And number might come 1 year, go 1 year. Excellence will live with you for your life.
Very nice.
As a team, as a company, as an organization, the look and the thirst for excellence and doing the thing the right way and the best way.
Very nice.
That is our motto.
Beautiful. No, that's a excellent way of putting it. Let's build excellence. The numbers will follow.
No, and you do build business with it. No, let's
Mm.
say you have enough experience, enough team, enough of your people. You sit down in a room, drop the business plan. You understand what's happening, whether to put money into ethanol, sugar, whatever. So that with 35 years of my experience and 300 years of experience around me,
Absolutely.
I have a bouquet of 350 years of experience. You just need to pick it up. So we have a plethora of talent.
Very nice. But then remember, this 35 years of experience needs to pass on to the next generation, Mr. Saraogi. How do you get succession right?
So just in the process, I can just say personally, we just begun. We're following a very well thought out plan for succession. And whoever should succeed should be worthy of succeeding.
Absolutely. Very nice.
This is not a positional play. This is not a play of a blood group. It has to be imparting our talent.
Very good.
So if the person concerned, so one must be very clear, there must be a difference between succession, in bracket ownership, stroke management. Ownership and the wealth or the ownership will, let's say, succeed, that's fine.
True.
Whether the management should succeed or not depends on talent.
Correct.
Again, the hunger, again, the ability.
Very nice.
And nobody should be allowed to step into any place where they don't deserve to.
Correct. In fact, that is the biggest mistake people do, right? I mean, to mistake blood for, I mean, so it's only talent that counts.
Talent, hunger, you know, the trait one must develop for being the leader.
Very nice. So the other thing that I was curious about is if you are number one, others are learning from you. What are other CEOs learning from your leadership, Mr. Saraogi?
I have no clue. And all I want to say is, I and we as a team, we learn every day, and we want to learn every day.
Definitely.
And this is no great statement in humility. Absolutely. It is a statement of fact. So we see that which other companies in the sugar industry are doing better than us in which vertical. Somebody is doing better technically, somebody is maybe doing better industrially, somebody is making better quality, somebody is crushing more cane, somebody is more efficient on cane. So what we deal with is we are lacking success is what we feel.
Okay. So I mean, this is defining the benchmarks well so that you're always aspiring and not to get comfortable with number one.
Again, one is a number. It makes no sense to feel that number. So until and unless you live that number, true, every day on every aspect. So if in 5, let's say Balrampur in my mind is actually maybe 1 in one facet. By being 2, 3, 4 in the others, maybe the combined impact is 1. This is what you people are saying. I'm not. So the aspiration should be to go to 1 in each.
Exactly.
And to go there and retain it. Not merely touch it and come back.
Correct.
And to retain it fundamentally, structurally, and make it into a habit.
Beautiful.
That is the goal. That is the goal. We are very far from that yet. Truthfully.
Yeah.
Not happy at all.
Wow. In fact, I get reminded of something I learned with Jack Welch. He said we should be number 1 or number 2 in every market. So every leader came to him and said, we are number 1 or number 2. Then he said, you go back and redefine your market where you are less than 10% of the opportunity. So I can sense now that there is a redefinition to go out and say, don't get cheated by the number 1.
It can only, if you get cheated by it, your only next number is 2. That is your logical conclusion.
Absolutely.
Complacency is your biggest enemy.
Absolutely.
Undoubtedly. And in any sphere of life.
Definitely.
Business, taking relationship for granted, complacency is terrible.
Correct. In fact, somebody said complacency is like a cancer, right? You got to be very careful.
Very careful.
Yeah. Now, in your leadership position, Mr. Saraogi, you have to achieve this balance between the body, mind, heart, and soul. How do you achieve that?
I'm striving to achieve that. I'm still striving.
Right.
You see, what little bit I've learned is that it's a very serious effort for me yet. Work in progress.
Okay.
Having said that, one has to look after oneself. Basically, you must remain fit in whichever way you want to.
Absolutely.
Until you're physically fit, you cannot be mentally fit, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
Until you're mentally fit, you cannot be physically fit.
Absolutely.
And these two have to go hand in hand. So fitness is what we owe ourselves.
Correct.
And fitness is what we owe the organization who has branded us as their CEO. So if you're not fit mentally, physically, step down. Otherwise, step up. Own the position.
Very nice. Very nice. In fact, I mean, if we are not fit, perhaps we are even being irresponsible to the organization.
100%.
Yeah. Very nice. How do you sustain your soul, Mr. Saraogi?
It's a tough one. So basically, I think being compassionate to people around you.
Very nice.
Should not be treated as a virtue. So it should be treated as maintenance cost for your soul. Like you go to maintain a machine, and this is in the lighter note.
Yeah.
So if you are doing what you're supposed to do, it makes you feel happier. And if you do what you're supposed to do and a little more than that, it is your duty again. But that gives you good sleep at night.
Absolutely.
You don't cheat somebody, you don't do sharp practices, you don't bully, you don't do wrong things. You play how you're supposed to play.
Correct.
So, you play cricket, as in the olden days.
Correct. Gentleman's game. Wonderful.
And you can win by playing gentleman's game.
Correct.
There is no need to play it any other way.
Absolutely. Correct. Why the unnecessary bouncer when you can play straight?
Yeah, and when you can play straight, and that is completely misunderstood. Playing straight makes great business sense.
Exactly.
So playing straight, suppose you are a good paymaster or you are a good borrower. You get money at the lowest cost. And that is only giving you more money in your company. And you're only doing what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. Very nice.
Playing straight is letting you sleep well and giving your company a competitive edge.
Very good.
Now, how complicated is that?
Yeah. But I mean, yeah. So in this day and age, to have CEOs who go ahead and say, look, I mean, the only way I know is straight, right?
No, I'm not playing the Virgin Mary or Jesus Christ here. Okay. So, I'm not taking a position of that sort. I'm saying basically, it's simple. It's not tough. I'm not saying I'm holier than thou or any such thing. But I'm saying there's basically very simple ways to grow. It's not tough.
Very good.
It's not complicated.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, last question for you, Mr. Saraogi. I need to be respectful of your time as well. What's the best piece of advice you have been given?
Be true to your commitment. If you've committed, wrong or right, don't live up to it.
Absolutely.
Think before you commit.
Correct.
But your word is your bond.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very nice. Very nice. I mean, I should go ahead and admit, Mr. Saraogi, I mean, in these 30 minutes that we have spent, what has impressed me the most has been your humility. I'll never forget what you said about hunger, right? And the fact is, the very fact that you're number one, you're carrying it lightly, right? So allow me to acknowledge all of those attributes, if I could say that, Mr. Saraogi.
Nothing. We are mere mortals. The faster we understand that, better for us. So no immortality or bulletproofing should creep into one's way of being.
Absolutely.
Because, there are forces way beyond us, things way beyond us, and what more than this pandemic to prove to us that we are simply mere mortals.
Absolutely.
Hence, why shouldn't our conduct, our way of being with our colleagues, our family members, our friends reflect that? Exactly. Why should anybody have any other trait in them?
True. True.
Is my ask.
Wonderful.
So the faster we understand it, it's better for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So allow me to say thank you so much for your time, Mr. Saraogi. It's been an absolute pleasure, right? I look forward to going ahead and sharing some of the snippets of the interview so that other leaders can benefit from this as well. And it would be my privilege to stay connected with you as well.
And likewise, Venkat.
Pleasure.
You've done a lot for our company. Let that be known.
Definitely. Definitely. It's my pleasure. And hopefully we'll have an opportunity to meet in person soon.
Soon, yeah.
Definitely. Take care, stay safe, and all the very best to you, Mr. Saraogi.
Likewise.